Hey, what's up guys, it's Bakes and I'm back again with one of my random horror reviews. Today's movie is one that I've surprisingly seen a handful of times, and what I mean by surprisingly is, you always have those ones that you come back to quite often. But this one, going back to rewatch it this time was probably a fourth time revisiting this one. And it just doesn't feel like that, but as I said, pretty close to a handful. But either way, today's movie is 1985's House. Try and keep the glare off it there. Yeah, I've got a really shit cover of it. It's the one with, obviously, Zombie Ben on it. I prefer the old school one with the floating hand going to hit the doorbell. I think that's just so much better. But either way, as I said, today's movie, 1985's House. Before we get into my thoughts of this movie, we'll quickly go through the plot. So we have our lead in this one, who is a horror novelist. His name is Roger Cobb. And after his, I think it's his aunt, passes away, he inherits her house, which also happens to be the house where his son went missing, presumably dead. And he's returned to that house to start writing his new novel. And then some creepy things start to go on in this house, and he starts to realize that this house is holding these dark secrets, and it's not all that it really seems. So, without delaying any longer, let's get into my thoughts of this movie now. Now, at least for myself, I've always found this movie to be a really underrated gateway into the horror genre, and what I mean by that is, if you have young kids that are starting to show interest in horror movies, or you have some friends that want to watch something not too full on, this is like the perfect movie because it's a lot of fun. It's surprisingly funny. I always forget how funny this movie is. It's light-hearted, pretty much from start to finish. And don't get me wrong, there's gore. Some of the effects on the monsters and ghouls, is pretty creepy. There's some moments that will maybe scare you or give you a bit of a thrill, but that's all part of the fun. As I said, I just feel like this is a really good introduction. As I said, it's pretty light-hearted from start to finish. This movie has like this dreamlike, whimsical feel at some points. Mix that with like almost a family adventure slash action film. And obviously, as I said, don't take anything away from the horror as well, because there are some thrills there. I just really feel like this is a good introduction for people that are just starting out in the horror genre, yeah, it's not rated too violently or anything like that, so I'm sure, for younger kids it's not really that bad. Yeah, I really do feel like this is an underrated pick for a movie for people trying to start out in the horror genre. Now, moving on to the acting and the characters that we have in this movie. First of all, I really like the cast that is put together in this movie. Our lead, Roger Cobb, is played by William Catt. I don't know what it is about his character, but he's just really likable. He seems to be really genuine, and yeah, I really like his performance also. The show stealer in this movie is his neighbor Harold, who is played by George Wendt. He's probably most well known for being in the TV show Cheers, but he's in that episode of Masters of Horror called Family as well. He's just great in this. He has amazing one-liners. His one-liners in this movie are insane. He is so fucking funny. That part where he's talking to Roger and he's trying to get in all buddy-buddy with him, and Roger's saying he needs space and he just doesn't understand. That is like hilarious. As I said, the humor in this one actually works really well. The scene that probably makes me chuckle the most is that part where Roger's got the monster's body under the tarp, and the hot neighbor is using his pool, and they start chatting, and he's trying to say that it's a sapling for a tree, but the monster's still alive a little bit. I just love that. I think it's fucking hilarious. As I said, the humor works really well in here. But moving on from that, I guess we'll go to the monsters in this one. Whatever you want to call them, I guess they're technically ghosts or ghouls or whatever. Yes, they look a little bit ridiculous. They do look really rubbery at points and a little bit cheap. But that just adds to the charm. They're really gross. They look slimy. You can tell it's a person in a suit, but as I said, it adds to the fun and the charm of this one. They're a little bit over the top, but by all means, I really do like the monster designs and the ghouls and all the creatures that we have in this movie. Now, to take my foot off the gas a little bit, because I've been really praising this movie a lot, by all means, this isn't a home run. I just feel like with this movie, there's no consistent flow because there's like stretches where there's 10-15 minutes of pure insanity and it's really fucking cool and you're on the edge of your seat, but then it really like dies down again. And as I said, I just feel like this movie struggles with its consistency, and I guess you could say pacing a little bit. There's a lot of narrative jumping in a way. We go a bit into Roger's past because the new book that he's writing about is his history in Vietnam. And by all means, it's not uninteresting. I actually kind of like those scenes. But I don't know. There's something about this movie where there's just no consistent flow. The best thing to come out of that whole Vietnam flashback thing is that we get Ben. And by the way, as I was talking about with the monsters, they do look a bit rubbery and cheap. Ben's zombie design is like incredible. Like, it looks really fucking good. And even when Ben comes into the real world, he has some great one-liners too. As I said, it adds to the humor as well. But as I said, unfortunately, I just feel like there is a little bit of consistency problems with the feel of this movie overall. So to sort of wrap up this review and bring it to an end, yes, this movie has its moments where it drags, and as I said, there's something weird about the consistency in this movie, but take away the positives in this one, because there are a lot of high points. As I said, I feel like it's a great introduction into the horror genre. Like, one day when I have kids, I'm sure this could be a movie that I show them first, like put it alongside with, something like Gremlins or something. It is a lot of fun. As I said, surprisingly funny. It almost has this dreamlike adventure sort of feel to it. I want to praise this movie a lot. Overall, I'm going to give it a score of a 6.5 out of 10. It's not the highest score, but by all means, this movie is a lot of fun. That tagline, "Ding dong, you're dead," like that's like 80s in a nutshell. That is so cheesy. But it's so fucking good. So, this movie was a lot of fun. The whole reason I went back to rewatch it is I recently picked up House 2, which I'd never seen before. So I wanted to just go back, watch the first one again. And as I said, that's when I realized, fuck, I've seen this movie a lot more times than what I've actually thought. Unfortunately, House 2 was like shit. It was really bad. But that movie is a lot of fun. So if you've seen House, let me know your thoughts on it, or if you go and check it out, come back and let me know what you thought of it. A lot of fun. If you've seen House 3 and 4, I've heard that they're not very good, but if you've seen them as well, just let me know in the comments below. But thank you for joining me again, guys, for another one of my random horror reviews. Hopefully, you guys are still enjoying the series if you come back to my channel, or if you're subscribed. If you're not, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. All the support that you guys give helps that little bit. But either way, I'll see you for another video soon, guys. And yeah, everyone stay safe.